Hello, everybody. I'm Lex. This is Uncle Buck, and this is the 42nd box of books that I'm opening from Uncle Buck's library, which I inherited. This one is labeled Religion. I'm very curious because good old Uncle Buck had so many books on religion. It is a fascinating look at spirituality. So, let's dive in, shall we? The Real Truth About Germany. Facts About the War. Oh, put that on the history pile. The Red Queen. Ridley. Sex and the Evolution of Human Nature. This is about the Red Queen race from Alice in Wonderland. And the Red Queen says, you have to run as fast as you can just to stay in place. And that is somewhat about what sexual evolution is like. You have to move as fast as you can just to keep up. And Ridley is one of the great science writers, so quite interested in that. This is one I've certainly heard about. Put on the science pile there. Modal Logic by Chellas. A textbook on modal logic. Superstrings, a theory of everything. On the superstring theory, which is kind of starting to pass as a theory that people believe in, but certainly will be curious to check it out a little bit. E.O. Wilson's The Future of Life. E.O. Wilson is one of the greatest, most beautiful scientific souls that ever lived, and I'd be so happy to read this. I know this is one of his last books, but I have his book, Sociobiology, upstairs. It's a textbook, and it's so engaging and well-written and beautiful. He was just a mensch his entire life as a scientist. So, it's not a religion book in sight so far. Time's Arrow and Evolution by Bloom. A milestone of scientific writing. Interesting. In Search of the First Thinkers, The Neanderthal's Necklace. The Neanderthal's Necklace by Arsuaga. Fascinating. Yeah, we've learning more and more about the culture of the Neanderthals. It's a lot of guesswork too, but the idea that we were the only creatures with culture is just so silly. Khan's Music. Oh, from Pakistan. Interesting. On the musical pile. The Imitation of Christ by Thomas A. Kempis. Cool. That's a fun little addition. Problems of Mathematics. He was a mathematician. He did defense work and things like that. High level things that gave him, I think, the funding to be able to buy so many books like this. The Nature of Metaphysical Thinking by Dorothy M. Emmett. Pseudo-Dionysius, The Complete Works. Oh, excellent. Yeah, there's one person who said they were Dionysus, from the 5th or 6th century, and no one knows who they actually were, but their writings on spirituality became incredibly influential. So, put that there. The Way of Everyday Life by Miyazumi. It's like a picture book of spirituality along with small quotes. Oh, how pretty. And Zen Koans. What a fascinating book. Okay, that one I'm going to show to my kids. Good pictures. They'll look at pretty things. Selected writings of Paracelsus. Oh, Buck, thank you. That's so useful. Paracelsus is someone, I read a little bit, but to really have a good collection of the best. Oh, and there's charts and wood carvings of his work. Oh, Bach, thank you. From Princeton Bollingen Press, which is an amazing press. Excellent. So, Kant's Critique of Pure Reason. Unabridged edition by Smith. Paracelsus's 4 Treatises. Excellent. Edgar Casey's Story of the Old Testament. Casey was one of the great old out there spiritual guys. He did a lot about Egypt and things like that. So, and the esoteric metaphysical schools of thought. So, good to have a classic like that around. Hofstadter's The Age of Reason. This got the Pulitzer Prize. This is a classic work. Young's Mysterium Coniunctionis. But okay, great. This was Young's last work of a book length. So this is kind of the last thing he did. And with someone as gigantic as Young, who repeats himself a lot throughout his work, as he rehashes and reworks with his own thoughts. Often with someone this giant and with such a huge output of writing, reading their last book is the best way to get a general overview of everything that they had to say. So this is wonderful. Oh, the Torah, a modern commentary on, it's a little series here, on Numbers, on Leviticus, on Deuteronomy. Fascinating. Thank you, Bob. Very cool. The Discovery of the Unconscious, The History and Evolution of Dynamic Psychiatry by Ellenberger. Okay, fascinating. My wife's a therapist. This will be one that I'll let her see. Graham Hancock's Fingerprints of the Gods. Not a fan of Graham Hancock. I think he's well, I don't know. My guess is that he's a grifter. Maybe he's just fooling himself too. Julian Jaynes, The Origin of Consciousness and the Breakdown of the Bicameral Mind. Oh shit! I've heard about this book for years. Thank you, Buck. This guy went out on a limb and said that this idea of like two halves of our brain and like an inner voice, that an inner voice didn't develop until maybe after the Greeks sometime. And so this was very controversial work, but he went through a lot of ancient writing trying to prove the fact that there was not inner voice for much of human written history. It's a fascinating idea. So it's one I've read essays about, but to have the original source is good. The Order of Things, How Everything in the World is Organized into Hierarchies, Structures, and Pecking Orders. Amen. The book that puts things in place. The Stations of the Cross. Oh my God. Accounting types, business budgets, literature, allegorical literature, genres of literature, types of hammerheads. Oh my God, it's just a book of lists. Look at you. If you weren't Spectre me, I don't know who is. Look at you. I love you. God bless you. That's how my brain works. That's another one for the kids. The Multiple States of Being by Guénon, who is a great spiritual thinker that people keep telling me to read. A Frenchman. The Esoteric Writings of T. Suba Ro. Do not know who that is. It's one of these, like, colleges take photocopies and put them into a bound book. Probably got that from a university book sale. The Holy Scriptures by the Jewish Publication. It's a nice little edition. Tanakh, the Jewish Bible, the Holy Scriptures. A new translation of the Hebrew text. Good. Another case on Jesus and his church. Foucault's Madness and Civilization. I've actually never read any Foucault. I know, I'm a bad, intellectual. Yeah, How to Define Madness is a classic work. So, yeah, fascinated, for sure. The Natural History of the Mind by Gordon Rattray Taylor. Another psychological history. Plotinus, the Enneads, classic. The People's Chronology by Trager, a year-by-year record of human events from prehistory to the present. Oh my God, that's great. I have a history book there that you know if you've ever seen any of my History Wall videos. But this is just another version of that, and it is organized by year with little iconography for whatever it's talking about. Interesting. All right. Well, that's pretty cool. I'll put that on the history pile. It's a tiny little book, The Gospel of John. Okay. And only 2 books left. The Temple and the Lodge, Michael Baton and Richard Lay. I assume this is about Masonism. Yeah, Robert the Bruce, all that stuff. Templars. Yeah, Templar history. And Voices of the American Jewish Experience, Jewish Times. And this is the Jewish pile over here. And that's it for this box. Thank you, Uncle Buck. A bunch of great classics. And it does make me dream the day when I have a place big enough where this history wall isn't like all crunched together. And I can actually have spots not only for these pictures that surround it from those times, but also the books as well. And so you can, for Pseudo-Dionysus, you could just have Pseudo-Dionysus hanging out right here on the wall and walk by and not only see what I had to say about that time period, but see the books that were written then, and just pick them up and bibliomance them. So someday. But for now, thank you very much, Uncle Buck, and thanks to all you who watched this whole thing.